Welcome to our channel. Today, we delve into the dark and twisted mind of one of America's most infamous serial killers, Albert Fish. Viewer discretion is advised. Albert Fish, a name that has become synonymous with almost unimaginable cruelty, stands as a chilling testament to the darkest potentials lurking within the human psyche. His life, a tapestry woven with threads of depravity and delusion, forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of evil. Our journey today is not one for the faint of heart. We will be exploring 5 chilling facts about this man, facts that paint a portrait of a predator unlike many others encountered in the grim annals of true crime. We seek not to sensationalize but to understand, as much as one can, the aberrant forces that shaped such a life and the devastating impact he had on his victims and society. The story of Albert Fish is a stark reminder of the shadows that can exist, often unseen, until they manifest in acts of profound horror. Prepare yourselves as we navigate the disturbing landscape of Albert Fish's existence. We will examine the evidence, the confessions, and the chilling legacy he left behind. This exploration is an attempt to shed light on the darkness, to observe and document one of the most unsettling chapters in criminal history. The Boogeyman, as he came to be known, was all too real. Let's begin. Cannibalism, the consumption of one's own species, is an act that strikes at the very core of our societal taboos and primal fears. For Albert Fish, this was not a distant horror, but a confessed reality. He emerged from the early 20th century, a period of great societal change and upheaval, yet his particular brand of darkness seemed to belong to a more ancient, more terrifying stratum of human experience. During the 1920s and 30s, a shadow of fear crept through communities as children began to disappear. Unbeknownst to many at the time, Albert Fish was moving among them, a seemingly unassuming elderly man. Yet behind this facade lurked a predator of extraordinary cunning and cruelty. His confessions, when they finally came, would unveil a series of kidnappings and murders that shocked even the most hardened investigators. He spoke of these acts with a chilling detachment, detailing the fates of multiple children with an almost procedural calmness that belied the monstrous nature of his crimes. The victims, tragically, were almost exclusively children, vulnerable, innocent, and easily manipulated by Fish's grandfatherly guise. He would lure them with promises of treats or simple kindness, exploiting their trust in a manner that was both calculated and utterly devoid of empathy. The pain inflicted upon these young lives, and the unending grief of their families, forms the darkest part of his legacy. His accounts spared no detail, forcing those who heard or read them to confront the full scope of his depravity. Central to his infamy are his claims of cannibalism. Fish didn't just confess to murder, he detailed, sometimes with a grotesque relish, the consumption of his victims' remains. He described preparing and eating parts of their bodies, transforming the act of killing into something even more profoundly disturbing. These confessions painted him not merely as a murderer, but as a figure who violated the most fundamental of human prohibitions. The psychological landscape that could produce such desires and actions is a chilling terrain to contemplate. Was this a manifestation of an extreme paraphilia, a complete breakdown of moral and social understanding, or something else entirely? However, the consistency of certain details, and the eventual corroboration of some of his crimes lent a terrible weight to his words, forcing society to accept the unthinkable. These cannibalistic confessions, delivered without apparent remorse, spread like wildfire, creating a media sensation and cementing Fish's image as a real-life monster. The newspapers of the era, often sensationalist, found in Fish a story that surpassed their wildest imaginings. He became the Gray Man, the werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn vampire epithets that attempted to capture the almost supernatural horror he evoked in the public consciousness. Ultimately, it was these detailed and gruesome confessions that sealed his fate and ensured his place in the darkest corners of criminal history. The claim of consuming human flesh added a layer of primal terror to his already heinous crimes. His story serves as a grim reminder of the depths to which human behavior can sink. Let's move on. The act of abduction is a profound violation. For the Budd family, the disappearance of their 10-year-old daughter Grace in 1928 was the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare. She vanished after being lured away by Albert Fish, who introduced himself as Frank Howard, In 1934, an envelope arrived at the Budd household, an unsolicited intrusion into their still raw grief. This letter, penned by Albert Fish himself, was a calculated act of psychological torture. The paper was traced to a specific business where Fish had worked, leading to his capture and unmasking. Chapter 3: Needles in the Flesh, a Ritual of Pain. The human body can become a canvas for internal turmoil, where psychological pain manifests physically. After Albert Fish's arrest in 1934, authorities uncovered his horrifying secrets. X-rays revealed numerous needles embedded in his pelvic region. These were self-inflicted instruments of torment, not surgical remnants. Fish confirmed inserting these needles over many years as part of a personal ritual. This practice was a method of self-punishment and perverse spiritual flagellation. The discovery added another chilling dimension to his terrifying legend. Chapter 4: A Delusional Mission, Orders from a Twisted Divinity. The human mind, in its complexity, is capable of constructing realities far removed from the consensus world we inhabit. In the realm of extreme criminal behavior, delusion often plays a significant role, providing a distorted lens through which perpetrators view their actions. Albert Fish operated within such a self-constructed reality, one where his horrific acts were not merely impulses but, as he claimed, part of a divine mandate. Fish frequently asserted that he was carrying out God's will. This was not a fleeting fancy but a deeply ingrained belief system that appeared to underpin many of his atrocities. He believed he was an instrument of divine justice or purification, tasked with performing acts of torture and sacrifice. This conviction provided him with a perverse justification for the unspeakable suffering he inflicted upon his young victims. To support these claims, Fish would often cite religious passages, twisting scripture to fit his grotesque narrative. He cherry-picked verses, interpreting them in ways that no theologian would ever endorse, to validate his urges to torture, mutilate, and kill. This appropriation of sacred texts for such profane ends is a hallmark of certain types of delusional thinking. His concept of purification was particularly disturbing. He seemed to believe that through the suffering he inflicted and perhaps even the suffering he endured himself with his self-inserted needles, some form of spiritual cleansing was being achieved. This warped theology turned the very idea of religious devotion on its head, transforming acts of profound evil into supposed acts of piety. The children he targeted became, in his distorted view, sacrifices in a gruesome, divinely ordained ritual. The question of the authenticity of such delusions is one that perennially troubles the legal and psychiatric professions. Was Fish genuinely convinced of his divine mission, lost in a psychotic landscape of his own making? Or was this a cunning, manipulative ploy to appear insane, to deflect blame, or to add another layer to his monstrous persona? For the society of his time, and indeed for us today, grappling with such a mindset is profoundly challenging. How does one reason with an individual who believes they are acting on the direct orders of God? How does the legal system assign culpability when the perpetrator claims a reality so divorced from our own? This belief in a divine imperative to commit atrocities is perhaps one of the most chilling aspects of Albert Fish's psychology. It speaks to a mind not just broken, but reconfigured into a terrifying new shape. Let's continue. Chapter 5: His Final Words, An Echo from the Abyss. On January 16, 1936, Albert Fish faced his end in the electric chair at Sing Sing Correctional Facility. His last known statement, uttered shortly before the electricity coursed through his body, was chilling. He reportedly said, "I don't even know why I'm here." These words offered a final, unsettling glimpse into a mind detached from its own monstrous deeds. Let's reflect. The story of Albert Fish is a descent into some of the deepest shadows of human behavior, a chilling reminder of the realities that can exist beyond our everyday comprehension. Exploring these 5 facts has been a journey into a profoundly disturbing life, marked by acts that defy easy explanation and evoke a primal sense of horror. His cannibalistic confessions, the cruel torment of the Grace Budd letter, the bizarre self-mutilation with needles, his delusional divine mission, and his final detached words, all paint a portrait of a man utterly consumed by his own darkness. Understanding such figures is not about finding excuses for their actions, but about acknowledging the spectrum of human potential, including its most terrifying extremes. The case of Albert Fish forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the nature of evil, mental illness, and the capacity for cruelty that can lurk beneath a seemingly ordinary facade. He remains a subject of grim fascination, not for any redeeming qualities, but as a stark case study in aberrant psychology and profound human suffering. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. Stay safe, and see you in the next video.